Aloha, it's Wendy Hutchinson. And it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've felt compelled to come on and have one of these conversations with you all, just me and you, and not be on the podcast or recording something for social media specifically. But we have so much change coming. Change is coming. There's a lot of churning is what I'm feeling and seeing, and a lot of clearing, which is what I'm feeling and seeing. And we are experiencing huge on-planet events. And what I'm referring to are weather events that are super extreme, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, flooding like we've never seen before, just everything that has been problematic in the past on a small scale is kind of amplified. So it feels like there's a lot of clearing happening on the planet's surface. It's not only for humanity. It's not only emotional clearing and physical clearing of things, right? Whether you're losing a home or you're losing a loved one or you're losing yourself, right? You're deconstructing inside and going through an incredible shift and change internally. I mean, we are at this precipice of change, and it's global, it's multidimensional, it's personal. And if you're not aware of this, our personal human being is a microcosm and connected to something greater than ourselves, because we're energetic beings and we are energetically plugged in to the collective consciousness. We are energetically plugged in to the grid, the energetic grid that wraps around and drives everything on the planet's surface. We are connected to higher aspects of self, multidimensionally having simultaneous experience. I feel like so many people get really caught up in the microcosmic aspects of their lives, and they focus on problems. And no one or very few people zoom out and go, what is this about for me? What is this reflecting for me? Who am I becoming through this experience? And what am I learning? What am I learning here? Because there's always a lesson. And we learn lessons individually. We learn lessons as a collective. We learn lessons as a race. We learn lessons within our family units. And all of these changes are coming to reset the narrative, to reset you on every level. Humanity is going through a massive reset back to origin. And when I say that, I talk about that a lot in my newsletters, and I talk about that a lot in my social media posts. And you're probably wondering, what does that even mean? Back to origin. Reset back to origin means taking us back energetically to the inception point of what the original template was for the planet, what the original plan was for humanity, which was to give souls an opportunity to come here into this beautiful planet Earth. And I mean, such a beautiful planet we live on, right? To come in and have a human experience that is going to provide them as a soul education and opportunity to advance as a soul. It's almost like we always say, coming to the Earth School is incredible. It's an incredible opportunity, and many beings from all over the galactic multidimensional worlds want a ticket to the show. They want to come here into Earth and have this incredible human experience. And what has happened in the past is there's been a lot of corruption within our energetic bodies, And those corruptions and distortions and those blockages and those seals and things energetically within our makeup as humans and also within our DNA, because that's the core of who we are. And our DNA is tied to our galactic race. It's tied to, which is also reflected here in our human race. It basically is a return to origin without all of those distortions, without all of that adversity, without the blocks that prevented us from fully ascending and becoming the beings and humans and souls, the beautiful souls that we were able to become if we reached our potential, if we reached our soul potential and human potential here on Earth. And so much work has been done, seen and unseen, for all of you energetically in terms of removing obstacles, plugging you back into that connection to your own divinity, your own source, and to allow you to receive information from yourself. Many of you were completely cut off and not able to access higher aspects of yourself, access your intuition, access your inner knowing because of these, I'm just going to say, somewhat malicious agendas that were at play and that created distortions in your energetic field. Our energy field is what drives everything in our lives and our consciousness. So as we go through a reset to origin, you're going to see a lot of chaos and turmoil out there. And the first thing I'm going to say to anyone who believes that the poles are going to shift, because there's a huge body of spiritual people out there who believe the poles are going to shift, let me tell you, they are not. If the poles were going to shift, they would have shifted when the old Ascension Aeon was closed and the new Ascension Aeon was opened in October. That pole shift would have occurred at that time, and it did not. So if you are a firm believer in that, I'm telling you, that is not what's going to happen. What is going to happen is an incredible energetic shift of energies and purging of energies and releasing of the miasma and the energetic darkness and the energetic purging of everything that is not going to support us moving forward as a collective, as cosmic citizens. We are now, our entire human race is considered a cosmic citizen and has recognition multidimensionally as such. We're not just a bunch of human races populating the earth. We are now a unified humanity and recognized as cosmic citizens on this planet. And what we're going to be seeing as the events unfold to allow this coming into ourselves fully and coming into that connection with our own divinity and our own God source and light and knowing, and kind of just basically plugging in. We're basically, each individual is like plugging themselves into their own energetic alignment with themselves at source in a way that has never been possible before. But what comes with that not only is higher knowledge, but also incredible pain of shedding and letting go of distortions and things that don't align anymore. Because the truth, as our frequencies rise, as we plug in and connect and we have inner knowing and energetic truths are coming forward, anything that's a distortion or an untruth is going to start to flush and purge. And as we know, purging can be a very ugly and difficult process. It can involve pain. It can involve huge endings of long-term relationships, long-term careers, losing people we love in our lives as they transition out and take this journey from the other side. Also, huge transitions on the planet's surface. And so those are the weather events I'm talking about. Those are what are going to seem or feel like Armageddon to you are merely energetic clearings on the planet's surface to reestablish balance, harmony, redistribute weather and patterns that will sustain the planet and support areas of the planet that have really had it very difficult in terms of drought, famine, poverty. Just some really huge shifts are coming, and it's going to take years, but we are at the very beginning of these huge planetary shifts and shifts for humanity. And we have to be really careful of the story we tell, because everybody is so conditioned and programmed to default right to a nuclear war timeline, a famine timeline, an Armageddon story, the sky is falling. And those are very limited perspectives. We are going through a massive change, massive, quantifiable, energetically huge for the entire planetary system. There's going to be some chaos. There's going to be some shaking out. There's going to be a lot of disclosure coming up in every area of your life, whether it's politics, whether it's relationships, whether it's anything that is not supportive of the law of one, which is not supporting collective harmony, love, elevation, truth, divinity, connection, collaboration, anything that smacks of manipulation, slavery, abuse, exploitation, corruption, in any way, shape, or form, physically, monetarily, in terms of leadership. It's going to be flushed out, and that's what we're seeing. So this is just a massive collective purge. And a lot of the disclosure is to allow you to realize that things aren't what they seem. People who you had faith in and believed in have not been honest with you. And that brings up a whole can of worms, right? Starts to come up with that, because maybe they were people that you really put all your faith in. And that can look like, and I'm going to just say it, false prophets. So many out there. So many are out there. And they've built this following. Sometimes megachurch following, sometimes a small spiritual group following, whatever it is. They have convinced people to believe and follow everything they say. And what happens when you build that credibility over time, if you tip into ego and become a false prophet because of the ego, which is what causes it, right? People get conditioned to follow you blindly, and people get conditioned not to use their own discernment around information and facts coming in. They just drink the Kool-Aid and they're like, yeah, we believe you. And there's going to be a lot of exposure around that. And what that is doing is it's forcing people to really check themselves. And I want you, if you are in that situation where you find yourself feeling that something's off about the group or the church or whatever it is you belong to, the social group, honor that. Get out of it. Those feelings are your higher self directing you back to you. And what I want to say is everything that's happening on the planet is directing you back to you. What are the emotional triggers? What are you feeling? Why are you feeling it? Get curious, tune in. This is all about turning the narrative in. It's all about reconnection to your own divinity, your own source, your own inner knowing, because you all have it. Many of you have turned it off, you've blocked it, you've disregarded it. And then when truth rises, you create this huge shame story about it. There's this huge shame story, like, I should have known better. And there's this almost negative shame story or beating yourself up energetically and emotionally about why didn't I know better? Why did I stay? Blah, blah, blah. You know what? You don't need the story. It happened. It happened to bring awareness and truth to the surface for you. So take that information and lesson and move forward. You don't need to destroy yourself emotionally because something happened that you weren't expecting. Just be present to it. Be like, wow, that was a shit show. And I don't want to be a part of it anymore. I don't want to feel this anymore, and move forward. You get to choose how easy or difficult the process is going to be. You really do. But my point being is a lot's happening on the planet, and this spring is going to be particularly maybe tumultuous. I mean, we're going to have a year of change, and it's going to be tumultuous maybe. But I feel particularly the next few months there's going to be a lot of turmoil. So I'm just going to offer you like 10 points and ways of approaching the uncertainty that's going to come from it. Because if you're not aligned and centered, it's going to be really easy to freak out and be like, what is happening? And the sky is falling. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to step back, because you're going to get emotional and you're going to be triggered and you're going to want to default into these fear programs. And that's not going to serve you. The first thing you need to do is step back, recognize your emotional freak out is happening. And I want you to breathe and come back to center. Number one, breathe and come back to center. Okay. That is where, in that stillness and that center point, you will make good decisions for yourself. That is your soul. When you're breathing and connecting to your body and feeling yourself breathe, that is where your power is. That is where your center is. That is where your truth is. It's in your heart. It's in your soul. Stay out of your mind. Okay. First one is breathe, come back to center. The second thing is stay out of your mind. Your mind is going to want to create chaos. It's going to want to create a story. It's going to want to talk to everybody who feeds that story. It's going to create fear. And then irrational decisions are made from that space. Right? So breathe and stay centered, and 2, stay out of your mind. Number 3, be kind to yourself. Ask yourself what you need right now. Do you need a nap? Do you need a hot tea? Do you need to go for a walk and clear your head? What do you need? Ask yourself what you need and do it. Do you need a day off work? Give yourself permission. Do you need to get a babysitter and take 2 hours away from your kids? Do whatever you need to do, like check in. What do I need? That's going to support me. Don't go into, I need a drink, and then you're, a bottle or a 6-pack in. You want to do things that are going to actually support you, right? Not just numb you. You want to make a choice that's supportive. What do I need? And then that's going to help me to deal with this situation. So ask yourself what you need, and then give yourself permission to do that. Number 4, figure out who your people are. Who are the people that will support you and are there for you? We all have friends. We've all had friends who we think are friends, but they're not friends. Those people are not your friend. They are going to talk about you behind your back or backstab you or not be there if you need them. Figure out who your support system is. Who are your friends? Who's in your friend circle that you can actually call or text that's going to encourage you and help you through this difficult time. Figure out who your friends are. Who are the people that are really going to support you through this? Number 5, pay attention to the news, but don't be emotionally attached to the news. Watch the news like a movie, but you don't need to emotionally invest. Okay, there's a bigger picture at play. There's a bigger unfolding that I talked about earlier. There is going to be a clearing on the planet, and it's happening now. And people are going to die, and we are going to have tragedy. It's happening. You have to really always bring it back to yourself and be really focused on the knowing that, yes, the chaos, watch the news, get information. This is what we do. We collect information, and then we use discernment about how we're going to respond to that information. What do we do with it? It doesn't have to be a panic attack every time you see, a loss of life. Yes, you can send love. You send love to those families. Open your heart and send love to the world. There's a lot of suffering out there. But if we are taken down emotionally by every tragedy that we're experiencing, we will be depleted ourselves. So we need to put our own oxygen mask on first. That's going to be number 6. Put your own oxygen mask on first. Take a few deep breaths. And then become an observer as number 7. Become an observer of the events. Don't become emotionally triggered by the events. You want to just observe and take in the information. And then it's kind of like watching a toddler have a tantrum. Like, it can look horrible, and there's a lot of screaming, and there's a lot of anger or emotion around it, but you don't have to meet them at their level. You're the adult, right? So you can actually step back and be like, all right, I'm just going to let you have this experience, and then knock yourself out. You're going to be tired, or when you can breathe, we'll have a conversation, or I'll deal with it appropriately when we all calm down. So when you see something really triggering for you, or just something like a flood or huge snowstorms where people are just being trapped in cars, and your heart is like, oh my God, practice some of these things I've said to now, and put that oxygen mask on and breathe in and be like, okay, what's the best thing I can do? I can open my heart and just send love to everyone. That is worth so much. Your frequency of love is so pure, and it transcends space and time. And that is one thing that's free for you to do. That is so impactful. If everybody opened their heart and just sent love out into the world to everyone who is suffering, it would be so, so huge, right? I think I'm on number 7, so I'm correct. I might do 10 or 11. My next tip would be, get curious. Get curious about what is being triggered inside of you. What are these emotions? Get curious. Because it's triggering something that's unhealed within you. It could be vulnerability, it could be insecurity, it could be a feeling of unworthiness, it could be just so many things. But get curious, because curiosity is kind of the way out of the suffering. When you can recognize something and see it, and then go, oh, there's a pattern here, and I don't need to be a player and repeat that pattern over and over. I can choose to change the pattern. I can interrupt the pattern, so get curious. I'm going to say number 8. Number 9, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. You don't know what other people are going through. They might look like they have it all together. They might be successful. They might be beautiful. They might have all the treasures in the world. They might have all the tea in China, but they might be absolutely destroyed inside. and struggling and depressed. People put on a good front, and we don't know what people are going through. So I'm going to ask you to be kind to others. Be kind, compassionate. And the last one, number 10, is something that I say all the time, but it's really important that we love ourselves through this transition and through these uncertain times. And I want to offer you this, that everything is being reset to allow us to become the best versions of ourselves, and do that with our own distortions removed and energetic blocks cleared, and just a lot of the obstacles that kept us from connecting with our own source light and divinity and inner knowing. So much has been done for all of you individually and collectively, to support you moving forward and finding your footing and your truth and your soul self and becoming the best version of you. So loving yourself through whatever's presenting is the most powerful thing I feel that you can do. And as always, my work is really about redirecting you back to yourself, your soul self, your authentic self, and encouraging you to really do the work to follow your passion, to find your worthiness, and to believe that everything's going to be okay. It might not feel okay. It might not look okay. But, every storm comes to an end. So I just wanted to share that all with you so that you could maybe take some deep breaths and really not get caught up in the chaos, and step back, be kind, be compassionate, open your heart, love others and love yourself is basically my message. So I hope you all have a beautiful day. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.